and welcome to the Technology Geek podcast. I am your host, Brandon LePani, the Technology Geek, and we are here as we are every week to talk computers, the internet, anything pretty much related to tech, geek, or anything that pretty much comes to my mind while I'm doing this show. So lots of tech news to get to, but I just want to say thank you, first of all, to all of our fans that were nice enough to go ahead and send thank you, send wishes and thank yous and all that for my wife and I, who just recently got married a few weeks ago. So I want to thank everybody, for all that. So that was really, really wonderful, completely unexpected. And I want to thank everybody, for everything, as far as we got some, very nice emails and cards and things of that nature. So I want to thank everybody in advance for that. So thank you very much. As always, you can find about all of our podcasts and all of our posts at thetechnologygeek.org. Follow me on my Twitter, LePani Tech, obviously, Facebook, Google Plus, everything, all social media things. I've even started messing around with Twitter and not Twitter, but Instagram and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff going on, obviously, in tech news this week. We'll get to that as we always do. But first, I want to say, before we get to our sponsors, kind of an interesting thing. I'm getting tons of emails and phone calls from our listeners and stuff talking about how they want to support the Technology Geek. A lot of people obviously donate. Obviously, we have a donations link on our website, and we appreciate all the donations that everybody gives us. It really helps keep the site up and going. We have dedicated server hosting now because we do have so many listeners. So we appreciate people donate. But a lot of people don't give direct donations, but they help us keep the site up and running via the sponsors. And a lot of people have said to me, "Well, we really enjoy the the show. We really like supporting the show, but the problem is, after we use the offer codes and stuff that you have for sponsorships, we can't support the show anymore because you haven't changed the sponsors in a while. So as the weeks go by here on the podcast, we are going to be mixing up the sponsorships a little bit and possibly." Not only mixing up the sponsorships, but different sponsors, stuff like that. I know I did get a couple people, a couple ham radio buddies of mine that are actually big fans of the show. And they had said to me the other day, like, well, you don't have any ham radio sponsors or anything like that. So we are going to be mixing up the sponsors over the next couple weeks. But we're still going to have the old sponsors up on the website. But we're going to be mixing up the sponsors a little bit. And our first sponsor, obviously, is a new sponsor. They actually came to us and wanted to advertise during the show. It's our buddies over there at Man-Grate. And Man-Grate, really a wonderful grilling system. You take these really lovely grates and you put them, very well made, by the way, made right in the U.S., not outsourced, which is another reason why I really want to support this company. And you put it on the grill, put your steaks, your burgers on there. It really is great. Does a wonderful job of grilling them. And really tender, juicy, wonderful. And, when you're done, you take these grates, you bring them inside, you wash them, and you use them for the next time. Really saves the life of your grill, makes wonderful meat, and they really are just a wonderful company, wonderful product. And the support team over there is great. When I talked to them, when they called me and spoke to me about joining the show, they're really wonderful guys over there, really on top of everything, very prompt and all that. So they were really great to have them. So I'm really lucky to have them as a sponsor, and that's mangrate.com, and use the offer code TechGeek, TechGeek, and they're a sponsor of ours, and we're really happy to have those guys, our buddies over there at Man-Grate. And let me tell you, those guys were great. When we went to them and we talked to them about being a sponsor, and they were prompt, on time, and really wanted to get us as to be on the podcast. And they were, you send those guys an email and they get right back to you. So they really are a wonderful company, wonderful customer service. So definitely support those guys over at Man-Grate and use our coupon code. You'll save some money on your first purchase. And this way we go ahead, we get the credit for it, and we keep this site up and running. And we do have a lot of, by the way, folks, I look at the numbers every week for the podcast, and our numbers are growing. So I want to thank whoever you find out about us. You tell your friends, you retweet us, you find us on the website, or, any way you guys spread the word of the Technology. I appreciate that, because we really have I really enjoy doing this show, and I really want to keep doing it. And as long as you guys keep supporting the site and keep the site up and running, I'll more than happily keep doing it. So we appreciate that. But that's our new sponsor over at Man-Grate. And as well as, folks, let's not forget about our other sponsor, ProXPN. They are a wonderful sponsor, and they have actually a new offer that they're going to be giving us. You get 20% off the lifetime of your VPN service if you use our offer code TechGeek, TechGeek. Again, that's TechGeek. Excuse me, TechGeek. It's a little bit different, and those guys there, they'll give you percentage off the lifetime of your subscription. And those guys, ProXPN. Anytime you're on using free Wi-Fi, or anytime you're using your phone, doing banking, or even on your computer, anything you're doing, anything that's going to be anything that possibly could hold confidential data or data that you don't want somebody to have, you should definitely go ahead and use a VPN. And those guys over at ProXPN are great. And like I said, they're offering you guys, if you use our coupon code, you will actually go ahead and you will actually get 20% off the lifetime of your membership. So that's really a wonderful offer. And again, we appreciate you supporting those guys. Anybody, by the way, even this isn't just not just for business guys. If you're a home user or even anybody who needs to do anything, should definitely use a VPN, especially with everything going on. We're going to get to security news here shortly, but if you hear everything going on with security this week, you're definitely going to want to use the VPN before you do anything. And let's not forget about our other sponsor that has been with us since day one, Audible. audibletrial.com/techgeek, TechGeek. Those guys are really wonderful folks, and they've been with us since the beginning. And I'm telling you, I really like Audible. I use them myself. It's one of the reasons why I reached out to have them as a sponsor at the beginning. I love audiobooks. I listen to tons of them. I just finished up The Fifth Witness by I'm sorry, not The Fifth Witness. Excuse me. I just finished up The Gods of Guilt by Michael Connelly. Wonderful book. Every Mickey Holler novel he's done is just better than the one before. The Fifth Witness was an amazing... Fifth Witness, the ending of that, I'm not going to give it away because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but The Fifth Witness was, just the twist at the end, it blew me away. He's just an amazing author. And as well, The Reversal, obviously, that was, those you don't know, Michael Connell's been writing Harry Bosch books for years. I'm not a huge Bosch fan, but I actually went ahead and read The Reversal, and it's actually the second time Mickey Holler and Bosch team up on a case. So most of you that haven't read the book or haven't seen the movie Lincoln Lawyer, Mickey Holler's a defense attorney. In The Reversal, he actually goes ahead and actually reverses roles and becomes the prosecutor instead of the defense attorney. And the other one I read as well was the second book in the series as well as The Brass Verdict. And again, that's another book that at the end, it really just throws you for a loop. But I tell you, The Brass Verdict is, all of them, I can't pick a favorite. But The Brass Verdict was another ending that just threw me for a loop. At the end, I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect it at all. But all those books available up at Audible. And again, that's audibletrial.com/techgeek. And as well as our site, folks, at technologygeek.org. I actually have been writing book reviews lately just because I've wanted to and because I'm a big bookworm nerd. And again, the technologygeek.org folks should jump up there and read the book reviews, all of our book reviews, and any books you want to listen to. Like I said, audibletrial.com/techgeek. You get the first book free, and it helps support our site as well. And it really is a good giveaway, too. An audiobook's almost $14-15, so they give away one free one with our offer code. So go ahead and use that, and this way you can get a free book out of it. Keeps the site up as well. So a lot of other stuff going on, obviously, in the world of tech. But I do want to say, like everybody knows, I did get married over August here, and it was really a wonderful wedding, very nice. I put a lot of pictures up on my Facebook. Quite a few of our listeners are actually personal friends of mine up on Facebook, so you guys can see them all there. And so we've had some other conversations as well, and it looks like we will be adding an addition to the household. I guess is the only way to describe it. In addition, we actually have a cat that we have rescued, and she's a very nice cat. We actually named her Gemma, and for those of you that are asking why did we pick that name, it's because my wife and I are both very big Sons of Anarchy's fans. And we also as well thought of some other names as well. One of the other names we had kicked around for a while was going to be Khaleesi and Geek It if it was a boy, but we ended up going with a female cat. She's about 2 years old now, so she's a great addition to the household and to the family, and we're glad to have her in our new lives, our married lives, I should say. So we have that going on right now. So a lot of stuff going on here, but like I said, I wanted to to thank everybody for all the wedding wishes and all that, and a lot of people too that have seen on Twitter that we got the cat were really, really cool, and were giving us advice and all that type of stuff. So really thanks for everything. So a lot of stuff, as always, going on in the world of tech, because obviously the always changing world of technology is something that the landscape never changes. It always changes, but never sits still. So some other things I want to talk about, obviously, Home Depot getting hacked, and for those of you that care to know, I've unfortunately got stuck in that again. So I'm getting a new debit card again for the fifth time, and because I got caught in the Sally's Beauty Supply hack, I got caught in the Target hack, I got caught in all that type of stuff. So I've had about 4 or 5 new debit cards over the course of the last year or two, so that's been kind of interesting. So some other things as well too, obviously in security news, it's been a lot of stuff going on about fake cell phone towers, people listening in on your phone calls, putting up fake network extenders like Verizon or AT&T network extenders, and actually listening in on your calls. That's been in the news quite a bit, as well over the last couple of weeks. And some other things as well, going on as far as security goes. I mean, there's always a lot going on. Obviously, we had the Apple iCloud hack, and that's actually very interesting. That was actually due to a dictionary attack. Actually, what happened is Apple actually never, believe it or not, never set a limitation on how many times you can guess. So after 4 or 5 times, you wouldn't get locked out. You would actually just be able to keep guessing and guessing and guessing. So that was actually an oversight by Apple, and they have actually corrected that. So that was actually something that was quite interesting. I read on the internet. I can't believe that that's all it was. I mean, that was pretty. I mean, obviously, it's not Apple's fault. I mean, obviously, they figure, if they lock people out, people are going to get mad. So they figured, well, let's not put a lockout and see how it goes. Well, obviously, it was an oversight, and they're paying for it now. But they're actually going to go ahead and they've actually fixed that and all that. But a lot of sensitive information, sensitive documents. But from what I've been reading, a lot of people saying that this was something that was actually done over the course of time. It wasn't something that was something that was fairly new. And what I think is interesting is that, it had to be data that was collected over time, because it wasn't, some of those passwords that they used were quite old. They said there's people who haven't changed their password in quite a while. And, as well as that is you also have the situation where, people, I love the mainstream media, they report on stuff that they don't know much about, and I guess they must not get it fact checked or something, but they were saying the 4chan hacker group, and as most of you know, 4chan is not actually a hacker group. It's actually just a forum. That there's been suspicion that people like Anonymous and stuff like that hang on it, but it's a forum. It's not like it's not a hacker group, and they're reporting it's a hacker group, 4chan, stuff like that, and it was it's just the mainstream media not knowing what they're reporting on. But obviously that was in the news as well. This week, as far as security news goes, I think that was one of the big. That and Home Depot has been probably the 2 bigger ones, of the week. As well as, there's been more than that, but those are the 2 biggies. Obviously, another big one, obviously Dairy Queen, obviously being security breached, obviously being hacked there. That was big in the news this week as well. I want to say late last week, maybe earlier this week, but that was in the news. Obviously, they got hacked, and they're working on going ahead and figuring out what they're going to do with that whole thing over the course of obviously the next couple of weeks. Dairy Queen obviously was one of those ones that. You can tell they were very, very, unprepared for that. So they're working on that. Right now, not a lot of information has been released about that, but I'm sure we'll get more in news as we go ahead over the next couple of weeks with that. But that was another one that was in the news as well. So a lot of other security news as well. Obviously, you had Apple, the Apple, iCloud hack, Home Depot hack, Dairy Queen hack. Obviously there were some other ones as well. Obviously, Microsoft patches a lot of critical vulnerabilities. Obviously, we just had Patch Tuesday this past Tuesday, so that was obviously security news as well. So obviously there's another thing as well. A lot of people were doing fake Flappy Bird app, and they were basically to steal your photos from your device. That was in the news as well this week as far as security goes. Some other ones as well. UPS obviously admits that they had 51 stores hit with malware for the past 5 months. That was security news. It just seems like it seems like you can just never get enough security news. Just every time we turn around, there's more and more of it. We could probably actually do a whole security podcast. Probably just on the security news of the week every week, and it probably would do really well. That's just the amount of security news you get. Obviously, PlayStation's network back online after a DDoS attack. That was in the news, this week as well. Sony, for some reason, just can't seem to go ahead and just keep their network up and running for some reason. They've been trying, and they just struggle with just really trying to keep their network up and running. It actually is pretty sad, I think. I mean, I understand, it's not an easy thing, but, they've been struggling for over the last couple of years with just keeping their network up and running, without being taken down. So obviously that was something, Facebook 32 debuts with public keep, pinning, several security fixes as well. That was in the news. Chrome had a huge patch coming out, patch bunch come out this past release. Obviously, everybody knows Chrome gets released every 6 weeks. They get released with a new group of updates. So that was in the news as well this week as far as security news goes. Obviously, Microsoft fixing their broken security patch, MS14-045. That was obviously blue screening machines. A lot of people didn't know that Microsoft actually. A lot of people say, "Well, Microsoft, how could they release bad patches?" They do. Despite what everybody will tell you, Microsoft does release bad patches sometimes, and they have to go through and fix them again. It's just sometimes the way it goes. Obviously, as far as Windows goes. A lot of things going on. Obviously, we're hearing about a possible Service Pack 4 for Windows XP. That's not a joke, by the way, folks. It actually looks like they are possibly going to, release a Service Pack 4 for Windows XP. A lot of people still running XP, still a lot of XP out there, and Microsoft still is supporting it, despite it not being under support anymore. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But, Microsoft, it's not good business to let your customers get, be vulnerable to security patches. And, they've been doing the best they can to keep patching this out-of-date OS pretty much. So, like I said, obviously there's some vulnerabilities in Joomla that they've actually gone and fixed as well. That was in the news as well this week with a bunch of security patches came out for that. A lot of other stuff as well. We'll get into. I want to talk about the iPhone 6 release. Obviously, that was this past week as well. Some news, obviously, with that. Obviously, the Apple Watch. Obviously, that was news as far as that being released. But I think that kind of cat was out of the bag, kind of way before even. To me, that was kind of just cat was out of the bag with that way. Way while ago, personally. And everybody knew that they were coming out with a watch. It was just a matter of time. And, by the way, folks, just so you know, too, I listen to a lot of Microsoft news as well, because I do work with a lot of Microsoft clients and things of that nature, but obviously, Microsoft releasing their own version of a watch that's going to actually work with both iPhone, Android, and their phone. And I think that's kind of ironic because if you remember years ago, not actually too long ago, everybody had to make their stuff to work with Microsoft. Now Microsoft has to make their stuff to work with other people's stuff. So it's neat how, what's old is new again. But if you actually remember, folks, at the very, very beginning, Microsoft actually used to have to make their stuff work on Macs. And then, the industry changed and everybody had to make their stuff work with Windows. And now Microsoft obviously has to make their stuff work with Mac and Android again. Obviously, on the desktop side, obviously Microsoft's still winning very strongly. But as far as the phone market goes, they have to kind of adapt or die. They have to make Office and all that type of stuff work on the iOS and Android platforms. So this way, they can actually go ahead and push forward in the ever changing mobile market. So, kind of a neat thing there. And for those of you folks that don't know, while we're on the conversation of Microsoft, some big news released as well. Well, actually, I think it's big news. I mean, maybe it's not as big, but I thought it was big news. Obviously, Microsoft taking a lot of the Bing services and rebranding them with MSN, and apparently going to redesign and recraft MSN. And I thought this was kind of neat news as well. If you go to preview.msn.com, you can actually see the new preview. And what it actually is, folks, is Microsoft's actually trying to push MSN fairly hard. And I'll tell you the reason why. Despite Bing being, their competition for Google, MSN is really, really huge, especially in a lot of the third world countries and stuff like that. Bing is rather popular. MSN is rather popular, and Bing is as well, obviously. They've actually succeeded in a lot of places where Google and Yahoo haven't. And MSN, like I said, they say it's got over 400 million hits, a month. So it actually is quite popular in other marketplaces around the world. So Microsoft pushing very, very hard to try to get all of that set up and done so that they can really expand their markets. I think Microsoft's kind of realized that they're not as huge, in America as they are, as far as their online presence goes, isn't as big, in America as Yahoo and Google and things like that are. So what Microsoft's actually trying to do is try to nibble at the bottom of the market in a lot of the other overseas and third world countries. And it's the same thing with their cell phones. Microsoft cell phone sales obviously not very big here in America, but their cheap low end phones are actually huge over in a lot of the smaller countries, and a lot of countries where fortunately, I hate to say this, but their people aren't able to spend as frugalously as we can here in America. And I'm not saying anything nasty about Americans. It just seems like we have more money to spend than most do, and thank God for that. So Microsoft actually obviously makes quite a bit of their cash over in other countries with their low end phones. And that's where Microsoft's really striving right now. The mobile market is they're really, nibbling at the low end of things. Where Apple and Android can't compete is where Microsoft's able to compete, because obviously people over in a lot of those countries can't afford iPhones. So Microsoft really strives in that market with their Windows phones. So that's where Microsoft is really aiming right now, and really actually striving. If nothing else, obviously it is a global marketplace. So. And obviously, another thing too. One thing I do want to get back to quickly here, as far as the whole situation with Apple. Obviously, Apple coming up with their Pay app. Obviously, that's not actually. That's actually a very, very huge news, obviously, but a lot of people don't realize is that Microsoft has had that version, and Android had that next. But one thing about Apple has the clout and the product awareness and the brand name and all that can actually push something through like that. Where I don't think that Android and Apple really have that name recognition, or Android and Microsoft don't really have that name recognition actually in the market, where Apple has it and can actually forge that stuff ahead. So that was in the news this week as well. And another thing too with the Apple event, still no word on what Dr. Dre is doing or what's going on with Beats and all that. Apple still hasn't elaborated enormously on that, and I'm sure they will shortly, but they haven't yet. So that was something as well. But with a lot of these Microsoft, obviously Microsoft pushing ahead with its MSN service, and really trying to work hard, do the Fitbit, come out with a watch. Microsoft trying to push ahead. Obviously Apple in the health service industry, as well as Android and others as well. So Apple kind of getting in a little late, but I think with their name recognition, they won't have any problem at all. Some other news as well, as far as business news goes. Obviously, it's very, very sad to see TwitPic obviously going out of business. Obviously, they were sued by Twitter. Remember, TwitPic was the only way to put your pictures up the first couple of years when Twitter first started, and now Twitter has their own. And I guess they sued TwitPic for using, or sued them over the way their their app is designed and things like that, and rather than go ahead and fight in court, TwitPic's actually shutting down right now. So that was kind of sad to see them actually shut down and go out of business, especially since they've been around since the start of Twitter. But unfortunately, that happens. Some other news as well that I want to talk about as far as game. Well, actually, let's talk about gaming news because we don't really talk about too much with gaming news. Obviously, Microsoft looking to buy Minecraft and bring it to the Xbox. That was in the news this week as well. That was actually some other Microsoft news I wanted to talk about. Obviously, that in the news this week. By the way, as well, some other things going on. Obviously, Facebook suffered an outage as well. That was news. Google obviously having to refund $19 million in-app purchases over, kids and things of that nature purchasing stuff that they weren't supposed to. That was in the news this week. Obviously some other things going on as well too. Obviously, talking about Wikipedia, they were saying that the ALS page on Wikipedia has seen a great jump since all this viral video stuff with the ice bucket challenges and the celebrities getting involved with it and stuff like that. Wikipedia said they've seen a major increase in their ALS pages and things like that. So it's really great to see the internet and social media and stuff like that really helping raise awareness for a really wonderful cause. So some other geek news as well. Somebody wanted me to point out as well that there's a new Game of Thrones book coming out in October. That was in the news this week as well. There's obviously James Frey, obviously, who was one of the guys involved heavily with the I Am Number 4 books. Obviously, he's opening up a new book publishing, promising one new book per week. That was in the news as well. And this week, that's actually major news. That independent publishers online, that's actually major news. I don't think we're really close to the point where they're really going to cause a lot of problems for Amazon, but I can definitely see that slowly. Starting to really, give Amazon a bit of a run for its money. So, but apparently a lot of independent publishers having people sign up and then they, deliver one or two books, a month over the subscription service. So kind of a neat thing as well. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of, Amazon Prime, especially Amazon Prime Unlimited, the books and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think they're really that great of books that are on there. I would rather see somebody spend $8.99 on Scribd. So some other things as well that I want to talk about. I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, interesting. I was actually we've been looking for the server we were actually using to run our company. Actually getting a little aged. Not as not as new as it used to be. And I was looking for different solutions to use for our company, what we're going to use for server hosting. And what we used to use is we used we had a Flash-based site and then went to Joomla and then WordPress, and then we had a couple other things. And long story short, I was actually interested looking at things like Google for Business or looking at Office 365. It's amazing the prices you can get right now on those services. We actually went with an Office 365 platform for our company because it was just, I think it was for one user, it's like $60 a year, and you get a public website, you get email, you get Office in the cloud, you get Link, obviously, which that's the big thing because we do a lot of online meetings and stuff for technical support and things of that nature. So you get Link with it, saves us some money on TeamViewer and things of that nature, and as well as you get some other services as well with it. Now you also get SharePoint. You get OneDrive. Obviously, you get over a terabyte, and that's a terabyte per user of cloud-based storage. That's pretty interesting. A lot of free stuff that actually comes along with with the Office 365. Google has something very similar as well. Obviously, Google Apps for Business. We'll talk about that next week. I don't want to talk about that this week, obviously. But a lot of other things, a lot of things. I'll tell you, the tech support we found for that was amazing. Moving the MX record and all that type of stuff. Microsoft was extremely helpful with that. Setting up our Exchange email. And yes, by the way, folks, it actually is Exchange email. You're actually getting true Exchange email with Office 365. like I said, you're getting, team sites, you're getting a public-facing website, you're getting, a SharePoint, you're getting Office, you're getting, like I said, Link, you're getting OneDrive. I mean, for $60 per user, it actually is an amazing deal. And our whole infrastructure for our company right now was actually running on Office 365. It actually is definitely worth the money. Huge cost savings for us. What we were spending a year to host a designated server, upkeep, maintenance, time, and what we were getting, Dexting is amazing. I said Google has something similar for business. We'll review that possibly next week. But really an amazing service. I actually went ahead, like I said, and reviewed that this week. And we moved our entire company infrastructure over, and I have no complaints. It does use, as far as a lot of people asking about spam filtering, one of the things it does actually do, it actually has a forefront online protection, which is Microsoft spam filtering. It actually does a pretty decent job for I have no complaints about it. And obviously that comes free with your subscription, by the way, to their service. So, overall, I really have no complaints. I have to tell you, from a small business owner standpoint, incredible cost savings. I'm probably saving at least $250 a year in hosting fees and backup service and stuff like that. So I mean, it's an amazing service, and Microsoft, they guarantee 99.9% uptime, and they guarantee to back up your data and all that, and really is. I'm not gonna lie, I have been one of those people that have been an advocate against cloud-based business, against people doing Office 365 and Google Drive, but I have to tell you, after working with this product, it really is definitely worth the money and the time to move everything over. And the move over actually isn't that difficult. Microsoft likes to do it for you, which is even cooler yet. All you have to do is point the MX records, and they do everything else to move over your old stuff and all that. It really is really cool. And like I said, I definitely think from a small business standpoint, I really think this is going to be the way people are going to go. No need to upgrade, no need to any of that. Yeah, I definitely think it really is the way that a lot of companies are going to go. And then I have to tell you, I mean, you really can't beat it. You don't have to worry about server administration. You don't have to worry about hardware, none of that. And you're actually getting, full versions of Microsoft software. It's not like you're actually getting, a stripped down version of it or anything like that. You're actually getting full blown SharePoint for that price. I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, Microsoft licensing alone would kill you. So, I mean, it really is a great product. And a lot of other people, too. I actually have worked with some other companies as well that are actually going System Center in the cloud, where they're actually doing all their systems management, right through the cloud. They're not going to have SCCM servers and worry about, distribution and all that type of stuff and out-of-band management. They're just doing a System Center in the cloud, and it actually does work. So I have to tell you, folks, very impressed this week. I worked with a lot of Microsoft online services this week, and I'm very impressed with the services. I'm very impressed with how they work, and I'm very impressed with the job that Microsoft has actually done with this. It actually is well put together, and I really believe that with the way Microsoft's... The other thing is, too, folks, is one of the things, too, is storage is always an expense, especially when it comes to, Exchange and things of that nature. I'm talking about SAN storage and NAS and all that type of stuff. And with Microsoft, they gave me a 30-gig mailbox. A 30-gig mailbox for $60 a year. Okay, I mean, I bet you if you go and get GoDaddy email hosting, you'll get less space and you'll pay more. I mean, a 30-gig mailbox is amazing. And even just the OneDrive. I mean, for $60 a year for one user, go any place and ask for a terabyte of storage and see what you're going to get. So, I mean, it really is amazing. It works on the iOS. Flawlessly, by the way. I think that I really believe that with the way Microsoft is running their business now, I really believe this is the way that Microsoft is going to push everybody. It's not going to be one of those things where it's going to be like, well, maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. We want to keep. I think that you're going to watch over the next maybe 5 years. And this is the way that Microsoft's going to push everybody. I'm going to tell you why, because it saves them on support costs for your products. It's managed by them, so they don't have to worry about dealing with hardware and stuff like that, and dealing with hardware issues on your end during tech support and things of that nature. It really is the way that Microsoft is really pushing people, and I really think that that's the way I really think that's the way that business is going to slowly go over the next 5 years, especially with broadband and all that being so readily available in everybody's home. So one of the things we do, folks, like I said, is we review products and we try to give you our suggestions. And I have to tell you, I really would give Office 365 a good thumbs up. So definitely 5 stars as far as I'm concerned. So what we're going to do, folks, we're going to do open lines, as we do every week. As always, folks, open lines is exactly what it sounds like. It's open lines. You can call in and ask anything you want to ask about. Obviously, the phone number 570-630-0744. Again, the phone number 570-630-0744. Ask me anything you want to talk about. Call me from a cell phone, landline. Call me on Google. Call me on Skype. You can email me your questions, lapanitytech@gmail.com. And like I said, folks, basically what we're going to do, open lines, is you can ask me anything you want to ask me, anything you're going to ask me, I'll talk about. So we have, like I said, if you leave your message, you call in, you leave a message on the voicemail box. You're not going to, if you call right now, you're not going to get, "Hello, Technology Geek, you're on the air." It doesn't work that way. It's a podcast. You leave a message on the answering machine, and we'll play it on the air or answer your question right on the air. And like I said, if you want to call in, but you don't want me to play your call in the air, just tell me. Lately we haven't been, only because we've had, my mixing board here has been giving me some problems. I have to work on that. But like I said, folks, like I said, we'll actually go ahead, like I said, and we're going to do open lines. And like I said, phone number one more time, 570-630-0744. Anything you want to ask me, the only rule I have, folks, is no bad language. Any bad language, anything in the call, that's a bad language. I just don't bother. I just delete it. We're not an explicit podcast. We don't need to be. There's no reason for it. So like I said, go ahead. Like I said, call in and we'll answer your questions. Like I said, the only rule is no bad language. So the first caller we actually had that called in, their question: what's the best phone for somebody losing their sight? This is. I have to tell you, this is actually a two. I have two. I have a friend of mine that unfortunately just had throat surgery, and she had a question like this too as well. By the way, our friend Bonnie, she actually listens to the podcast. We want to wish her a speedy recovery. She actually unfortunately had her voice box and all that removed. Quite a sad story. She's actually a very good friend of ours, and we wish her a speedy recovery as well. But one of the things is, if you're losing your sight, there's actually, you can go two ways with this. If you have, I don't know what your sight is like. If you are completely blind, which if you are, I feel very bad for you. What I would recommend is, iPhone has great apps for people that need accessibility options and people that are losing their sight. Now, if you're asking me, you're losing your sight and you can't, you need a bigger screen, I would definitely recommend a Note or a Galaxy, because that's going to be your biggest screen option. Even with the iPhone 6, it is pretty big, but the Galaxy is still bigger, and the Galaxy also too has that font adjustment where I don't think Apple has that. So depending on your situation, if you're totally blind and you're looking for a phone that can give you the best accessibility options with the best support for accessories, I would go iPhone. But if you're looking for just a bigger screen so you can see better and make bigger font, I would recommend you go with something like a Note. And if you have any questions, by the way, like I said, any additional questions, call me. Absolutely, we're more than willing to help you. And we feel very bad somebody's having trouble with their vision, and it's always a shame when you start losing your sight, especially since we rely so heavily on it. Another question that we got: how can I do a live podcast with dozens of my friends? This actually comes from a friend of mine that's actually a wrestling fan. What I would recommend is, I would actually recommend Google Hangouts. That might be your best bet. And you can actually, fire up, YouTube and actually click on, record with Hangouts. You actually record a live podcast with your friends. We actually used to use Skype when we had people on, and we still do it if we have one person on. But a couple times we've actually had multiple calls with customers. And we would actually use Google. Obviously with Link we don't have that problem, but with TeamViewer it would only give you one-to-one. Now with Link we can actually do multiples. But for a free solution, obviously Google for a podcast, obviously, Google Hangouts will do a fairly good job for you and your friends, and you can record it. And by the way, too, once you save it up to YouTube, if you want an MP3 version of it to post up on the regular, on iTunes, there actually is a called I believe it's Tune. I believe it's Tube to Tunes, and or Tunes to MP3 or Tube to MP3. And what they'll actually do is actually download the MP3 version of it as well, along with you having your video version from Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts is actually really cool. I love Google Hangouts. It actually is a lot of fun. But like I said, actually, the funny part is Google Apps for business, which like I said, we'll talk about next week, actually does have a Google Hangouts for business, which you can do screen sharing and all that, which you can do it on the regular one as well, but it gives you some more options and features. But like I said, we use Link now for all that stuff, but Google Hangouts does have quite a few options, and really great for podcasting, especially since Skype doesn't allow you to have multiple calling. Sometimes if we would get more than one guest on our podcast, sometimes we'd have to use Google Hangouts because I don't have multiple computers with multiple feeds coming in. So we'd actually use Google Hangouts. It actually used to work pretty good. A couple times actually it worked better than Skype. Don't let Microsoft hear me say that though. Somebody else asked me a question as well. Can I use a Bluetooth with an old flip phone? I believe you can. Most of the old flip phones came with Bluetooth. It depends on how old. I mean, your phone has to be really old not to have Bluetooth support. I mean, I think almost any flip phone nowadays has Bluetooth, even some of the ones that are 3 and 4 years old. Your best bet is if it was before, and I'm being serious with you, if you bought it in the state you're living in and hands-free was mandatory at that time, the odds are chance probably going to have a Bluetooth. I would say probably anything within the last 4 or 5 years definitely does. And if it's a new phone, I'm positive it does. So. Another question that was kind of neat, and I'm actually surprised somebody even asked this, but somebody asked if there a Metro app for Firefox for Windows 8.1. What happened was, I believe you still can get it, but I believe they're not updating it anymore, which could be a security problem for you, depending on what you're doing. But what they were actually doing with that is, problem was Firefox decided they were going to go Metro, and they were actually going to do what everybody else was doing and go Metro and all that. But it actually didn't work out for them in the end, and they actually ended up pulling back and saying, well, if people aren't using it, we're not going to develop it. So it's still out there. You can still use it, but it's probably quite out of date by now. So I would actually strongly recommend actually going ahead and I would actually recommend just getting the regular desktop version of it for security purposes. Another question somebody asked is, I'm going to college. Should I buy a Chromebook for school? What I recommend with anything like that is obviously contact the college or the place you're going to and ask them what they recommend, because they're going to know what their infrastructure is like. We're going to know what their professors are provided and all that. So I would recommend doing that. But if you have anybody that wants to get a Chromebook, obviously you'll have basically access to all the Google services, obviously, that are available to you, and it actually is pretty neat. It's a low cost way to do it. If you're always going to have access to online, I mean, why not? But do realize, it is basically, it's basically just like using all Google services. So what you might want to do is just maybe go with a regular PC and just use Chrome and all Google services. This way, in case you have to, you can fall back on the local machine rather than always having to be connected over the internet. That's an idea. But, if you're on a budget crunch, obviously Chromebook would be a good way to go for you because you get Google Docs and all that. And it relatively is reasonable. So somebody asked me kind of a neat question. A ham actually emailed us and said, what should I buy for my first ham radio? Well, it depends. If you're going to be using HF, probably, an ICOM, a low-end ICOM, low-end Yaesu, do all the bands and all that type of stuff. You can probably get one cheap for, $300-400, which is, in the ham radio world, is cheap. If you're first time, just a tech, obviously you can, get yourself, just a Yaesu FT60 or something, or just a small handheld. One thing to realize too is not always about what radio you get; it's about what antenna you use. And if you're new, I would strongly recommend joining up on some of the forums, possibly going to a local ham club meeting and all that. Maybe those guys can give you better suggestions depending on what repeaters are in your area and what you're actually going to be doing. But like I said, a small base unit for a couple $100, and you don't need a big expensive antenna. Wire antenna will do it for you. A tuner if you're trying to get an HF. you just want to do 2 meter stuff, just a small J pole and just a small Yaesu FT like 1800 or 1900 will do the job for you. It's it's the type of hobby where unfortunately nothing's cheap, but if it's just starting out, you can definitely get by with just some basics. So another question I had, a couple left, but what do you think has better original programming, Amazon Prime or Netflix? This isn't the first time we've actually gotten this question. Right now, Netflix does, but there's a lot of good series coming out on Amazon Prime. The interesting thing is Amazon Prime actually, we're talking about Michael Connell during the podcast. His show Bosch is actually going to be on Amazon Prime, Amazon Original. So there's a lot of stuff coming out. They're going to be Amazon Prime originals over the next maybe 4 or 5 months. So if you hang in there, you get good original programming on Amazon Prime. Netflix obviously has the majority of original programming, along with obviously with HBO. But Amazon Prime, though, one thing that they have that Netflix doesn't is they have Falling Skies, Justified, Extant, which is with Halle Berry, which if anybody's watching that has been an amazing series, by the way. For those of you that are watching, it just keeps getting better and better every time you turn around. Show with Halle Berry is called Extant. It's on Wednesday nights. It actually is worth an hour of your time. The season finale is coming up, but if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch them all. Because Amazon is been teaming up with a lot of the local networks and has been getting a lot of exclusive content, which has been pretty amazing. So, and they've been getting pretty much first dibs at it. So people with Amazon, that's kind of been a hook for Amazon is, if we get good quality programming on our channel right after it airs on TV, people will maybe go with a Prime account. So, another thing too, folks. Somebody asked me, with Winamp gone, what MP3 app can I use? I would say I loved Winamp on the phone, and it is going to come back to the phone, by the way, folks. They've said that many times. It's going to come back to the phone. Double Twist isn't too bad. I would recommend Double Twist. That's actually not. They're actually a really good app, and I'm, I've actually taken to using them. Double Twist is actually pretty decent. I like that on the Android, as well as they have their own built-in player as well. So I want to thank everybody for listening, as always. And like I said, if I do apologize, like I said, for the lapse between the last one and this one. But like I said, a lot of stuff going on as well, life events. I do want to point out, too, as well, folks, we do have one additional sponsor that I forgot to call out. That's our friends over there at amateurradiosupplies.com. If you go to the technologygeek.org, and you just see on the left-hand corner, you'll see our friends' top sponsor this week, amateurradiosupplies.com, and they can help you out with all your amateur radio news, especially all your amateur radio supplies. And like I said, I know that we've had quite a few questions talking about radios and stuff like that. If you click through there and shop on their site, we'll actually go ahead and get the credit for it. So we appreciate that. They're a banner ad sponsor that we actually picked up. So like I said, I want to thank everybody as always, and we will see you next week. As always, check everything out on the technologygeek.org. My Twitter at LePannyTech. And as always, you can email us at lepannytech at gmail.com. Thank you very much.